Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining us right now is Jim DeMint. He served 2 terms in the U.S. Senate representing South Carolina. Currently, he is president of the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, John, it's great to be with you.
All right, it's great to talk to you again. And you've been out of the Senate now for a few months, but this is where all the action is. The fate of the government and its funding, as well as Obamacare, are in the hands of Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Don't you miss this fun and games just a little bit?
No, John, there's so much pretense. You really have to know what's going on to understand what really is going on. A lot of times the members of Congress are pretending to vote for something that they really don't intend to vote for. So there's a lot of maneuvering going on. And part of what we do at Heritage is try to help Americans understand what's really going on and what folks are really voting for.
It's hard to keep track of everything. I mean, you've been, of course, a grassroots champion and a strong supporter of Senators Ted Cruz and Mike Lee through this effort, but a recent Wall Street Journal editorial compared their strategy to, quote, charging into fixed bayonets. Is that characterization unfair?
I think it is. I've heard a lot in the last few years. Certain things were impossible. It was impossible for Ted Cruz and Mike Lee to win elections. So if people get engaged around the country, a lot of things can change. And our role at the Heritage Foundation is to make sure that people and representatives understand the consequences of this law, which are very unfair. It's unworkable. It's unpopular. We just want to make sure that before Americans have to sign up on October 1st, that they know that this is going to hurt them and hurt our country.
Yeah, this might not be the first time that Senators Cruz and Mike Lee have both been underestimated. We've seen Cruz use his threat of a filibuster, but that tactic has not been supported by the GOP's top 2 leaders in the Senate, Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn. And now some Senate conservatives, including the Senate Conservatives Fund, are hammering those guys, saying that they, quote, surrendered to President Obama. They're calling them turncoats. Is that kind of intra-party name-calling really in the GOP's best interest?
Well, I'm not going to get into the politics of this, and we're not advocating for Republicans or any party. Our focus is strictly on policy, and we believe the stakes are high enough here that this is worth every American standing up and fighting for. America should not have Obamacare. The government should not be running the health care system here in our country. And we know they can't do it. We know it's going to cost a lot more than they promised, and unfortunately it's going to lead to a lot of people losing their jobs.
Well, that is certainly one thing that the entire Republican Party seems to agree on. And this next question is similar to the last one, but it is a policy question. With all the experts and pundits are saying what's probably going to happen is that Senator Harry Reid is going to bring a new funding bill to the floor of the Senate that funds the government, maybe eventually increases federal spending as well, and includes money for the implementation of Obamacare as well. And that puts the ball back in Speaker Boehner's court over in the House. What should the Speaker do from a policy standpoint?
Well, there are enough senators who promised to do everything they could to stop Obamacare, so we're all watching to see if they actually follow through on their promises, because all it takes is 41 votes to stop Harry Reid from increasing spending and also adding the spending for Obamacare, which doesn't make any sense since the president has delayed large parts of the implementation. He's given waivers to Congress and some of the other groups that are his friends. So I'm not going to project what's going to go back to the House, but I think the more the American people know how much this is going to change their lives and hurt their health care, change our economy and our culture, we're just hoping Americans are informed enough to inform their representatives.
Well, I mean, I think, Mr. DeMint, we don't know. We've heard that it's going to negatively impact a lot of Americans, but those numbers are fluid, and there's a lot of changes, a lot of delays have been taking place. But we know from what we've seen in the past in these types of battles, and we can all pretend to act surprised when both sides seem to manage to work something out at the very last minute. And let's say there is some sort of compromise, a slim chance, I know, but humor me if you will. Democrats maybe could offer up some more spending cuts, perhaps a repeal of the medical device tax that's in this law, or even a 1-year delay of the individual mandate. But certainly they're not going to offer up a full repeal. If any of those things I just mentioned are an opportunity for the Republican Party, but of course that full repeal is not an option, is that still a net loss for conservatives if there's anything except a full repeal here?
Well, again, our job at the Heritage Foundation is to put the flag down where it should go, and that is that Obamacare should be stopped. It should not be part of the American healthcare system. So if our work moves the politics in that direction, so be it. Our hope is to influence public policy in a positive way. But to do that, we just want to make sure people really understand what they're getting into. And every day, more Americans are getting letters about the increase in costs of their health care, or losing the health insurance that they've got with their employer, or being moved to part-time so their employer doesn't have to buy them health insurance. Every day, Americans are finding out more about this, is how it's going to hurt them. So we just hope that enough will find out before this law is actually implemented to change the political dynamic more than a lot of folks think it can be changed.
And senators like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, they've been rallying for this grassroots support. Is there anything specific that the Heritage Foundation has planned to support these guys?
Well, Heritage Action, our sister organization, has been all over the country engaging and training folks, letting them know how to get in touch with their congressmen and senators. On the foundation side, our job is research and policy. We're nonprofit and non-political, but Heritage Action is very much a grassroots political group trying to get Americans engaged in changing what's happening in Washington. Believe me, we need to change what's going on, and what's going on right now is a good example of that. But it's good to have heroes, folks who are really standing up like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee. That makes me proud to be an American, and I know they're heroes all over the country right now.
All right, Heritage Foundation President Jim DeMint keeping a close eye on this debate in Washington over funding the government and Obamacare. Thanks for checking in with us, sir. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you, John.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.